Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be filming a fun little Q&A, just chill, like personal style video today because I feel like it's been a while since I've just connected on that level with you all here. I obviously post on my Instagram and my TikTok, but YouTube is my favorite just because I love long form content, and honestly, it does scare me because obviously with the rise of short form content, YouTube isn't getting as much love, but YouTube is my favorite. Anyway, so I asked on my Instagram story for some questions, so I'll be answering those today. But before I get into those questions, if you're wondering where my stunning jewelry pieces are from, they are from Ana Luisa Jewelry, so I will leave a discount code and link to their website in my description. And with Mother's Day coming up, gifting an Ana Luisa jewelry piece that is long lasting, tarnish free, and amazing is perfect. So like I said, links in description. Okay, so how do you get back into the swing of things after losing a pet? If you didn't see, I lost my Scruffy William a few months ago, and that was something that I have been dreading for like his whole life because I was like, how the hell am I going to function without you? Because obviously I love him so much, and he was by my side every day and we grew up together. So it was like one of my biggest fears, and it is crazy that I'm just kind of living life. But this is my first like adult experience with grief, really. And somehow you continue to live your life. And it is definitely a hard thing, obviously. And I have experienced a lot of guilt when I'm just, living my life and not thinking about him. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I doing this right now? But that's completely natural to have that guilt. And obviously you shouldn't feel guilty. I obviously let myself feel all the emotions. I cry when I want to and miss him. I don't try to suppress any of that emotion. I also like really tried to prepare for it in the last years of his life because I was so scared of losing him. So I, was really aware of it. So I really cherished every second that I had with him because it wasn't like a complete shock like he was declining over the last few months of his life. I was also able to prepare emotionally as best as I could. And I think something that really helped was making that video that I posted to commemorate him. That celebration of his life was just really nice. And I watched back that video like many times and would just cry because that video easily makes me cry. It's a good way for me to get that release out whenever I need it, I'm really happy that I did that, and I obviously love that video. Obviously I miss him and I wish he was still with me. He was in pain in the last few months of his life, so I just try to focus on the fact he's not in pain. And actually I've had a few dreams where he comes back to life but he's like in pain, so I feel like that's my mind trying to say like, he's not supposed to be here anymore, and just find joy in the memories of him. So yeah, it's definitely hard, and I really didn't think, I honestly thought I would just cry for like a month straight, and that's not what happened. And I guess you can't predict how you're going to react to grief, but you just need to be kind to yourself. And I'm obviously so happy that I have so many videos and photos that I have to look back on. But yeah, obviously I do miss him a lot, and it definitely comes in waves. So some days I'll just be like living my life, and then suddenly I'll think of him and really feel his presence gone, and I'll have a little 2 a.m. sob about it. And actually I did also get a few questions about, am I going to get another dog? Definitely not right now. I obviously love dogs and would love to get another dog in the future, but Scruffy was my first and only dog, so I definitely don't feel ready to get another dog. And also obviously dogs are a huge responsibility, and I don't really know what my life's going to be like in the next few years, what if I move countries? I just don't know. So yeah, now is not the time for me to get another dog, but definitely sometime in the future. I was even thinking about possibly getting a bunny as a more low maintenance pet, but apparently bunnies are not that chill. Apparently it's kind of full-time, well, not full-time job, but it's a lot to look after a bunny. So I was like, oh, okay. But you never know. What's your number one tip for being independent? Oh, I don't know if I have a number one. That's really hard. Maybe just making time for yourself, because so many times we make plans with friends or family or your partner, but we don't make plans for ourselves, just to hang out with ourselves. But I like to schedule times for myself. So, I'm going to go to the beach alone by myself, or this day I'm going to take a hike by myself, or I'm going to go on a walk by myself, so honoring those plans that you make for yourself and your own time, because being comfortable with your own company is one of the biggest things that you can do for your own happiness and independence, in my opinion. So I've become really comfortable being by myself, and if you're comfortable being by yourself, that usually leads to independence. So I'm able to do things on my own. I used to be scared of for example, going to the dentist alone, this was years ago, but now obviously I can do that. But you do kind of need to take those steps to be independent and prioritize yourself, and also obviously work on self-love. I feel like this all interconnects, but you need to work on your self-love, work on being comfortable in your skin, all of that, and that adds to being comfortable by yourself and independent and everything. So because I've spent so much time on those things, I feel very independent. What would you tell your younger self? Lots of things, honestly. I obviously don't like to live with regret, but obviously I've learnt so much being an adult that I just wish I could tell my younger self, but I also know my younger self probably wouldn't listen because you kind of need to experience things for yourself to fully take the life lesson. But I think the biggest thing I would tell my younger self is don't close yourself off to new connections because of fear. I've always loved humans. I love connection. I love speaking to all different types of people, making friendships with all different types of people. But there was a period in my life when I was younger where I was just so scared of the world because of experiences that I had had. And I feel like I reached my capacity. I was like, I can't handle any more pain. So the way to avoid that is to just close myself off, because if I don't make new connections, then I can't get hurt. And that is just not a fun way to live. And it makes me sad that I lived that way for a while because, like I said, I love people. So who knows the connections I would have made if I allowed myself to open up more with people. I used to be so terrified of being vulnerable. Like anytime I would tell someone something traumatic from my past, I would feel dirty and disgusting and immediately regretted it. I would think about it for days and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Now I've obviously realized the power in being vulnerable and how that allows you to make the connections that are right for you. Okay, I had to go pick up my car because it was getting serviced. So I don't quite remember what I was saying, but I think I was saying that there is a lot of power in vulnerability and that a life lived in fear is not a life. So yes. Oh yeah. Okay. What would I tell my younger self? Don't let fear control your life. Fear is the mind killer. Favorite song at the moment? That's a fun one. Oh, such a good song. I actually saw the 1975 live, and obviously I loved that song before the concert, but concerts always make me just like reappreciate songs in like a whole new light. So that has definitely been on repeat ever since the concert. So, oh, so good. And that is Love It If We Made It by the 1975. Also, Matty Healy keeps showing up in my dreams. So like, what is that about? Because I wasn't even that obsessed with him, but he's clearly trying to send me a message. Advice on getting through a breakup of a long-term relationship. This is honestly a whole podcast episode and I probably will film one with Caitlin because if you didn't see, me and Caitlin have started a podcast. It hasn't released yet, but it will be released this month, the first episode, so I'm really excited. I will upload the first episode to this channel, so you'll get the details. But our first episode is about friendships, then we did an episode on romantic relationships, and then we are going to film an episode on friendship breakups, and then probably romantic breakups. I have a lot to say, obviously. I've learnt a lot from my breakup. I'll try to just give a quick little something, but like I said, I could talk about this for hours. I did also film a video actually, how to get over a breakup. So I talk about my tips there, but I would probably say my biggest tip is surrounding yourself with people that you feel safe with and supported by. And if you don't have that available to you, then writing letters to yourself, like love letters to yourself, to give that love to yourself that you may feel like you're missing, and or letters to that person, and write down everything you want to say without actually sending it, because most of the time no contact is the vibe, but most of the time you still have that desire to like let out your feelings to that person. So I wrote letters like every day, just even on my laptop, like, you know, just let it out because it clearly needs that release. So yeah, and obviously just be kind to yourself and let yourself feel everything. But yeah, like I said, there's so much to say. You can watch my video if you want more advice and all my tips. But yeah, like I said, I'll also probably film a podcast episode. Lots of questions about how am I doing, how am I feeling. So thank you so much for those questions. I am doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good lately. I'm trying to think of what else I can say. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I am a little bit stressed just because I have quite a lot on my plate, but I'm good. And actually, a really big moment for me was me seeing my psychologist and being like, honestly, I don't even know what to talk about because I've been seeing her like every week or every 2 weeks since last year. And every session I have a million things that we could possibly talk about. And she's like, hey, what do you want to talk about today? And because I've done so much work with her, I actually was just feeling so content and light. And in one of our recent sessions, I hadn't seen her in like a month and a half because she went on holiday. Good for her. I was expecting to have so many things to talk about. And I was kind of like, honestly, I don't really have much to talk about. We obviously talked about things, but you know, I didn't have anything like super heavy on my mind. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But then the next week I was like, oh yeah, we've got the list going again. But yeah, she's taught me so many amazing tools to cope with things that would usually overwhelm me. So yeah, my mental health is going really good. And yeah, just focusing on getting my life to where I want it to be. Yeah. Ways to decentralize romance in our life, especially for AFAB people. Obviously, as a woman, you can feel immense pressure to prioritize romance and be in a romantic relationship, especially in your 20s. Thankfully, I have worked on decentralizing it, so I don't really feel that pressure, mainly just from like the biological clock. But there are obviously so many different avenues you can take. You can freeze your eggs, you can adopt, like stuff like that. But in terms of societal pressure, thankfully, I don't really feel it much. Obviously, every now and then I feel it because I've grown up with this specific idea in my head. But thankfully, like, you know, my family doesn't harass me and say like, when are you gonna get a boyfriend or something like that. I would absolutely hate that. My grandma does that, but it's fine. I forgive her because she's from an older generation. But yeah, so thankfully I don't have to hear that, so I don't have pressure from them. So it's more just like society in general. But because I've learnt so much from my own relationship and like, you know, seeing relationships around me, I am just so passionate about not settling. And so I'd much rather be single than be in a relationship just for the sake of it. But yeah, I guess the ways I came to this point, I came out of such a long-term relationship and found the beauty in being single. I am so obsessed with spending time on myself and figuring out who I am and who I want to be. So I really cherish this time of being single because I do hope to find someone and, you know, live the rest of my life with them. So I know that me being single isn't forever. So I try to just find the beauty in it because there is so much beauty in being single, and you know, I have so much more time for myself, my friends, other relationships. And I also lived for so many years thinking that I could only get certain fulfillment out of a romantic partner, but that's just not the case. So I feel so fulfilled in so many different ways from my friends and family and people I surround myself with, and the love I give to myself. So obviously sometimes I do have that moment where I'm like, oh, you know, I would love to be with someone right now. Most of the time I'm just like, I'm vibing, and when it happens, it happens. And I think there is so much power in just appreciating each moment for what it is. So not always looking forward to the next thing. So if you are single right now, just appreciate that single moment. And if you want to be in a relationship when that time comes, you'll appreciate that when it comes. If you were able to be any mythical creature, which creature would you be? I love this question, but it's really hard because obviously there are so many different mythical creatures that I would love to be. I used to always say vampire, but the more that I think about it and the older I get, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'd actually want to be mortal, you know, because obviously mortality has a lot of beauty in it. So I'm not sure about that. And also the actual thought of sucking blood, no, thank you. And I would love to be like a mermaid, but it depends what type, because if we're having like the H2O mermaid moment, I don't want to have to stress about water getting on me 24/7, but I would love to have the ability to either be like human or mermaid, because obviously I love to swim and like being underwater as a mermaid. But if I was a full-time mermaid and I had to spend all my time underwater, I wouldn't like it because you can't even speak. How do I socialize? Like obviously I guess you go to the surface, but yeah, do mermaids sleep underwater? Or do they go to the surface and sleep? And then I'm like, maybe I'll be like a fairy, you know, like in like the Folk of the Air series, like that vibe. Because you still live a long life, but I don't think it's necessarily immortal. And you get to have the fun pointy ears and you have some fun abilities. Yeah, I think a fae. But I want to know what you would be because it's a very interesting question. Obviously, feel free to just answer any of these questions below as well. Is there any new hobbies you would like to do? I always want to try new things. Like I always have so many different things I want to get into. So yes. But I'm also scared because I'm like, I don't have time to like fall in love with a new hobby because I have trouble keeping up with all of my hobbies as it is. But, you know, I want to try skateboarding. I watched this podcast episode with Tony Hawk, which is kind of random for me because like I never really cared about skateboarding before, but it was on the Diary of a CEO's YouTube channel, and I have been watching their podcast, and they interviewed Tony Hawk, and I was like, okay, listen, really interesting. And did you know, apparently skateboarding was like not seen as cool. So Tony Hawk said that he would go to school with his skateboard, and then he would like hide his skateboard because he didn't want to get bullied, because people would make fun of him. And I'm like, that is crazy. And then so it kind of formed this like underground community of outcasts, and then obviously it became like cool and popular and more mainstream. And I just find that so interesting because obviously now when you think of like skateboarding, it's like, oh yeah, like the cool kid on the skateboard. And it's just so crazy how people view different sports is just so like determined on society's opinion. I guess that's with everything, but like it's just so wild to me. Like, for example, ballet used to be seen as like this really scandalous thing, but obviously now people view it as this like really beautiful, elegant thing. I'm interested to see how the perception on pole dancing changes throughout the years, because obviously there has been a lot of progress, but a lot of people are still like, ew, pole dancing. So it's really interesting. But anyway, yeah, I would love to get into skateboarding, more into painting. I do paint every now and then, but I would love to do it more often. So I got some questions about, confidence in your body. I definitely have a few tips for this. So firstly, curating your space. So people around you and the people that you follow on Instagram and stuff like that. I follow a lot of people who are of different sizes, who look different, who come from different backgrounds. And this definitely helps just to surround yourself with all different types of people and reminding yourself that beauty comes in all different forms. So I also like to follow people who talk about body positivity, are comfortable in their skin, and then it inspires me to be more comfortable in my skin and confident. And then also looking after your body definitely helps. Well, that's definitely helped me. So I used to like hate exercise. I ate like really unhealthily. I was so insecure in my body, and it wasn't just the look of it. I just didn't feel good in my skin, And obviously it's a learning process to build up that confidence and be comfortable in your skin. And obviously people talk about the benefits of exercising and eating healthily and stuff, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't care. But when I actually started to exercise regularly and be more mindful with my eating, I was surprised because I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Because I actually started to be way more comfortable in my body, finding an exercise that works for you. So obviously for me, pole dancing is my main form of exercise, and I love it and I don't dread it. That is so powerful. So finding whatever form of exercise or movement works for you, even if it's just a little bit, it's so helpful. All of that has definitely helped me feel way more comfortable and confident in my body, and I appreciate my body way more for what it's capable of and what it allows me to do. Obviously it allows me to live and move every day, and shifting your perspective on the function of a body. Like, the body is to help you survive. Like, it's not meant to look a certain way, And obviously it's hard with society and fat phobia and social media pressures and expectations, but by curating your space and working on shifting your perspective, it's definitely possible. And I'm honestly so surprised with how comfortable and confident I am in my body, because I literally thought I never would be. I also came to realize that this is my body, it's not going to change. So what's the point in living a life not happy with it? So I also started to fake confidence, and then that led to actual confidence. So for example, one of the biggest insecurities for me has been my small boobs, because I'm like, oh, I don't feel like a woman, because obviously there was a certain look of what a woman should be. Obviously we've made a lot of progress as a society in terms of acknowledging that a woman looks differently for everyone. But growing up, I definitely had that ingrained in me, and I was also bullied because of it. So that was not helpful either. But then I started to follow people on social media who also had small boobs and would like talk about it and be like, small titty committee, and I was like, oh my god, I'm part of the small titty committee, and I actually felt way more seen. And I was actually like, I like them, they're cute. And also we do have obviously tools available to us, like breast implants, which, maybe I'll get them in the future, you never know. Obviously I'm not against doing something that is your choice that brings you happiness, but yeah, just appreciating your body for what it is and for the life that it gives you. Would you ever write something? Yes, I'm actually currently in my writing era. I'm going to film a writing vlog soon actually, which I'm really excited about, but I'm currently working on 2 projects. Who knows, if they'll end up making it out into the world, but I'll talk about them more in my writing vlog. But yeah, I'm really excited because I never thought this day would come, but it's just the classic reminder, never say never. Lots of stunning questions from Abby. Pizza or pasta? Pasta. Have you ever felt like this? Have strange things happened? Are you going around the twist? Of course. Is it better to speak or to die to speak? What's the meaning of life? I think the meaning of life is different for everyone, so you can create your own meaning. So the meaning of life for me is connection. I personally don't think life is worth living without connection. So obviously friendships, family, romantic relationships, connection in any form, community, doing things that bring me happiness. Yeah. Momo asked, what has been your favourite part of this year so far? Such a hard question because I've actually had so many stunning moments this year. I went to Adelaide, which was so fun, so that's definitely up there. My cousins from Korea came last week and we had so many stunning moments together that I will really cherish. Caitlin also came, obviously, and that was amazing. And there was one night specifically where we were just like, this is the best night of our lives. Like, it was so good. We just had so much fun. So probably one of those. But yeah, it's hard. I've already had so many good ones, which I'm obviously so thankful for. What was it like living alone for the first time, and any tips on how to adjust to this change? After my breakup, that was the first time I was living alone, and it was terrifying. I never thought I'd be able to live alone because I was scared that I would feel lonely, and also I was scared. I was like, how am I going to just sleep at night? Like, terrifying. But how I adjusted... Well, Scruffy was also a really big help in that. Like, he obviously... I always say I lived alone, but I didn't. Like, I lived with Scruffy. So he was obviously a huge comfort for me. But basically, I FaceTime a lot. If I was feeling lonely or just really wanted to talk to someone, I would just FaceTime a friend or family member. So that was really helpful. In terms of like being scared, I put certain security measures in place that made me feel safe. And I guess how I adjusted to it is just time. Like, obviously the first time I was alone sleeping, I was like, oh my God. But you obviously get used to it. And now I just feel so comfortable. Like, if I am alone, like, I don't live alone right now because Penny lives with me. But, you know, if she's not here for the night, like, I'm not scared even without Scruffy. So I think it's just something you need to get used to. And what I talked about before, being really comfortable in your own company and being independent, ties into this as well. So I actually went on this date recently that was like really bad. Like, it was just so boring. We were super incompatible. And when I got home, this sense of relief I felt, I was actually like, I'm so happy to be alone and single right now because I get to go home to my bed. There's not a weirdo in there. It's just me. And I get to turn my electric blanket on and I get to have the entire bed to myself. Like, thank you. Obviously, if I was coming home to someone who I loved, like, that's a different story. But, you know, coming home to yourself is so nice. Exactly to this question, what are your top 3 favorite Chase Atlantic songs? Let's see. This is going to be hard because there are obviously so many good ones. Consume is my number 1. Absolutely love that song. And then number 2 and 3. Okay, this is really hard. Maybe Friends and Slow Down. But that's really hard. But yeah, what's yours? Oh my God, I've been filming for so long and I honestly could talk for like 2 more hours and I have so many more questions that I want to answer. But I'll just answer a few more. Otherwise this video will be a million years long. What is an attribute you need to see in a person in a platonic relationship? Authenticity and someone who's really genuine. I can't be friends with fake people. I need them to be, you know, authentically themselves and genuine in their words and actions. Like, I can't be friends with people who are just really fake and care about like superficial things and their social status and stuff like that. Like, I can't do that. So yeah, just people who are genuine, down to earth. Yeah. Where do I get my pole clothes from? I mainly get my pole clothes from Luna Lay, Pole Junkie, CXIX. I think those are the main ones. And then I also, you know, can just use like swimmers or lingerie as pole wear as well. Okay, the last question I'll answer. Advice for how to feel like yourself / find yourself again when you feel like you're adrift. I love this question. I think it's also important to just allow yourself to have that moment where you feel quite disconnected, because sometimes you just need to have that moment where you're just like, you know what? Who am I? What am I? Who knows? But let's just live life. But obviously when you want to like get back to yourself, things I like to do is revisit media that I love and that I find myself in. So if I'm like really just feeling disconnected and I rewatch a comfort film like Aquamarine, I just feel so much more grounded and more myself. And sometimes I even like to just like go through my camera roll and look at old videos or photos from a time where I was really happy with myself. And that kind of helps you remember who I am and brings me back to myself. Also journaling, getting out your thoughts, walks in nature, spending time with people that you love. Yeah, my battery is flashing, so it's kind of stressing me out. But I'm going to end this video here. But I just love this because I love to talk, which is why I'm obviously so excited for the podcast. And if you want to see more videos like this, please let me know, because I love to talk, you know? And I'm so sad that I didn't answer all the other questions because there were so many good ones. So thank you for submitting them. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. If you're looking for more content from me, I have my Patreon linked below, my socials linked below, and like I said, I'll have Anna Louise's website linked below. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you're all having a good day or night, and I'll see you in my next video.